today I'm with my friend Adriana, or I probably should be saying Adriana. Is that right?
Yes, it's right.
My Spanish is getting better.
Very good, very good.
Now I'm saying my Spanish because, well, let's ask her. Adriana, where are you from?
Well, Rachel, hello. First of all,
Hi.
hello to you and all your viewers, and thank you for having me here. Yes, my name is Adriana, and I am originally from Colombia, but I do not live in Colombia.
Where do you live?
I live in Canada. I live in Vancouver in the Pacific coast of Canada.
I did that slowly.
I went to Canada a few years ago and we thought it was a beautiful place.
It is so beautiful. I am very lucky. I feel very lucky that I live here, especially in Vancouver. You want to know why?
Well, yes, of course.
Because I love my country, Colombia, and I was born and grew up in the mountains. I am from Medellin, and to me, the mountains are home. If I am in a place where it has mountains, I know I'm home. So when I moved to Canada and I arrived to Vancouver and I saw the mountains, I was like, oh, this is good. I'm home. Because when I go to flat places, I feel lost. When you grow up in the mountains, you always use the mountains as a reference, like where's the north and where's the south. And so that helps you. Every time people grow up around mountains, we use that as a reference. So I feel lost when I am in a flat place, but here I saw the mountains and I was like, oh, I'm home. So I feel lucky because it's like I feel home here, but when I go back to Colombia, I also feel home there.
It's funny you should say that because where I live here in France, there's a mountain I can see from my house. It's not really a mountain, it's a hill. It's lower than a mountain, but it looks just like a hill, which isn't very far from where I grew up. And so I feel home here because I have my little hill like at home.
You have your connection to home.
Exactly, exactly, yeah. So have you been in Vancouver for a long time?
I moved to Vancouver around 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Give and take, yes. I like it here a lot. The weather, it's really nice compared to the rest of Canada. Canadians say Vancouver is like the tropical city of Canada. It's not tropical at all, especially if you're coming from Colombia. But I get what they say because the winters are not that cold. So while the rest of Canada is literally freezing or meters of snow, we have like 2 centimeters of snow and it's not that cold. To me, it's very cold, of course. It will always be cold. But I know what they say. It's not that cold. So winters are not that cold. Summers are not that hot. So it's kind of a really good weather. And I really enjoy the weather and the city and the culture of the city, the people. I really enjoy living here.
What sort of temperatures do you get in the winter?
When it's really cold, like we're freezing, it's -10. We do Celsius. Do you do Celsius too?
We do Celsius here, yeah.
Okay. So it's -10, but it like we can go below 0 or like -10-ish 2 or 3 days, like
Okay,
like
so
for
it's
a
not
week.
for a very long period.
No, like it tops a week, and then we go to 0, 5, and then we stay the whole winter between 0 and 10, 0 and
Okay.
10 the whole winter. While the rest of the country are like below 30.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm very lucky. I know. I'm very lucky.
So that's, I suppose that's because it's by the sea.
I guess so. That's what people tell me. Yeah.
And what's the sea like in Vancouver? There's an island, isn't there?
Yes, yes, Vancouver Island, where Victoria, the capital of the province, is. The sea is cold because it's the Pacific Ocean. It's
The
cold.
Pacific is usually warm.
The Atlantic is warmer.
Really?
Yes, yes. The Atlantic is way warmer. I'm used to, I mean, Colombia has Pacific and Atlantic. I'm used to going to the Atlantic, which is very warm. This is cold. I mean, also because we are up north, so it feels colder. It's very different from where I grew up. We don't have sand here, it's rocks. So the beaches are like rocks. So you have to wear like shoes because it hurts your feet. And going into the water, it's like rocks and rocks. Same with the lakes. I find it very cold. I used to be a sea person when I lived in Colombia, but now in Canada, I am a lake person, not a sea person anymore. But we have beautiful lakes here. They're so gorgeous. And I love the sensation of being in a lake. It's different from being in the sea.
Do you have lakes actually very near Vancouver? I seem to remember driving across the mountains, the Rockies, to see some of the lakes, and I remember these bright blue colored lakes.
Yes, from Vancouver, 30 minutes, 40 minutes drive, an hour drive, 2-hour drive, everywhere. There are lakes everywhere. Some of them are smaller or bigger or colder. It depends what you want, but there is something for everyone.
So when you say you like the lakes, do you go swimming in the lakes?
I go swimming in the lakes. I love paddle boarding. Paddle boarding is my thing that I learned here, and it gives me a lot of pleasure because you get to paddle and you feel like you're walking on the water or you're like floating on the water. It's a weird sensation and it's very peaceful. Yeah. And then I lay down on the paddle, on the board, and I just look at the sky and the trees and the mountains and enjoy the water. It's very peaceful.
What other sorts of activities do people do in the mountains?
People here, they like to exercise a lot. I heard, I don't know how accurate this is, but people from here have told me that Vancouver is called a granola city. And granola city because people tend to be like healthy and exercise and be outdoors a lot. And you do see a lot of people exercising, biking, hiking, walking, running. And there is a big culture on like healthy food, a lot of vegan, vegetarian, organic options. If you are vegan or vegetarian, this is paradise for restaurants and shopping. You find so many options. I am vegan, by the way, so to me, like I'm living in heaven. People love hiking. There are so many good hikes. There are so many hikes, and you hear all your friends are hiking during the weekend. Going to lakes during the summer, winter snowshoeing. Oh, very common snowshoeing and skiing. I don't know how to ski, and I'm too old to learn that. I picture myself eating a lot of snow in the process of learning, and I'm not willing to do that. But I do snowshoeing, and I enjoyed that one.
And in Vancouver itself, I mean, if somebody wanted to come and visit Vancouver, is there a lot to do? I don't know how many days it's worth staying in the city.
I would say, I mean, in the city, probably 3 days to get to know like the main, like touristic famous points. But if you have more time, you can go up to Whistler and Squamish and visit the lakes that I'm telling you about. If you're gonna go to a lake, you need a whole day. Like you're not gonna go there. Like for 1 hour. Like you want a whole day to do your picnic and swim and enjoy the water and the sun. So it takes a whole day. So I would say 3 days if you're just going to stick to the touristic city places and do some shopping and restaurants. And then 4 or 5 days if you want to go like to the outside of the city and do some hiking and enjoying nature. Nature is big here.
Yeah. And I remember there's some magnificent scenery, because I think we came in the summer, which was very much like the spring over here. All the wild flowers were out on the mountains. It was absolutely magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
But Vancouver itself, what is there to do? Because to be honest, the only thing I remember is going over to the island and visiting the gardens.
The city is very pretty. It's very walkable. What I find about Vancouver and Victoria, it's, you know, when I go to Europe, a lot of the touristic part happens in museums. Like you go and visit museums or palaces or castles. But when you come to Canada, the touristic part happens outside. So the nature itself becomes your museum. You are enjoying nature. You're enjoying the hikes and the views are just magnificent. If you can, I really recommend Whistler. It's a very famous skiing town. But I don't ski, like I said, so I never
the
go there.
Olympics, was it in Whistler, the Olympics? Yeah, I think we must have driven through there. Yeah.
Yes. I go to Whistler during the summer because I don't ski, so I don't want the snow. And I am afraid of driving in the snow and everything. So I go to Whistler during the summer and I do hikes during the summer. But then you see these mountains with snow on the top and these little lakes hidden. It's just beautiful. You cannot stop looking at that view. So yes, enjoying outside and hiking, walking the city. Vancouver is such a beautiful city and it's safe. Go ahead.
Safe. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. And I remember something else. I remember watching seaplanes. There were a lot of seaplanes.
Yes. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I always forget about that. I think you get used to some things and then it's like, yeah, of course. People take the seaplanes. It's like a taxi. It's like a plane, like a taxi kind of concept to go from Vancouver to Victoria. There is a lot of commute from Vancouver to Victoria. We have a ferry, but the ferry takes longer. And of course, the seaplane costs more money. But I mean, I guess some people really need to go for work so they take the plane. It takes off in Vancouver downtown. It lands in Victoria and people take it for work, but also for tourism. But yes, and then you see them all day long coming up and down. Yes.
I was just thinking, when you got to Vancouver from Colombia, how was your English? Did you already have quite a good level of English? I mean, your English is perfect.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I knew English. I spoke English. I thought I had a really good level of English, but once you really move into a English-speaking country, you realize you still have a lot of learning to do, and there is a steep curve. I came with very good English. And I could perfectly communicate and everything, but I realized, like now I'm living here. So there are so many words that you don't learn until you live in a place. For example, in Spanish, we say when we don't have any more power, we say the equivalent of energy. So if the power goes off, I would say the literal translation in Spanish is, I don't have energy. Uh-huh. But I know in English, I learned that I don't have power or the power went off. So I remember the first time we didn't have power because we had a storm. I phoned the place where you have to phone. And then I said, I don't have energy. Now I laugh thinking about it because then the person was like, they didn't know what to do with what I was saying. Like if you tell someone I don't have energy, now it sounds funny to me because like if you don't have energy, go and have a rest. drink some
Take
Gatorade,
some vitamins.
take some vitamins. And I kept saying like, I don't have energy in my house. But then I learned, oh, I was direct translating from Spanish, and then I learned, oh, it's power. So yes, there is a steep curve, but you have to enjoy it. Like you have to learn how to like laugh of yourself and laugh of the situation and know where that it's coming from. And yet lots of learning, those little things that will always happen to you when you live in the country.
And do you ever get homesick? Is there anything you really miss about Colombia?
Oh, everything. I am homesick every day. But when I go to Colombia, I am homesick every day of Canada as well. So it's like, I guess we have to, when we are immigrants, we have two homelands.
Yeah.
And then when the plane lands in Colombia, I feel like my heart, it's like beating faster, and I feel butterflies in my stomach because I'm home. But then I come back to Canada and I have the same feeling. So I love, my heart is with both countries. Like I feel if I'm here, I miss Colombia. And if I am in Colombia, I miss Canada. Yeah.
So Adriana, I got to know you partly because I was reading some books.
Oh yes, some of the books that I wrote. Yes.
Yeah. So I would love for you to come back sometime and chat to us about the books too, because they're really interesting, the books you write.
Of course. But before we go, you tell me when it's time to go, because I do want to end the interview with a message for your viewers. Is this the time?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So I want to say to your viewers that I know when you're learning English, you're going to have an accent. And I don't know if you are going through this, you probably will. I hope you won't, but it's very normal that you go through this. You feel very self-conscious, self-aware of your accent. Sometimes you want to get rid of your accent. You want to sound very native-like. And for some people, a very small percentage of people, they are able to sound native-like, but for most of us, we won't, especially if we start learning the second language when we're older. We won't get native-like in the accent. Yes, in the English usage, but not in the accent. So I want to tell you that feel proud of your accent, embrace your accent, because it's part of your identity. It says that you speak another language different from English, which is great. It means at least you're bilingual. So embrace that, feel proud of it. That's who you are. That's part of your culture, and bring that beautiful accent to enrich the English language. That's my motivational speech.
That's a good one.
Just before Adriana goes, I wanted to say I now have a free mini guide with some of the differences between North American English and British English. So if you would like a copy, then click on the link which is in the description under the video.
Okay, well, it's been lovely chatting to you. Thanks ever so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll see you again.
Yeah. Okay. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.